38 pounds in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Pro. Mr.
Andre the
Pro
Giant.
gonna get his licks in on the bruiser. Hulk Hogan.
Number 1, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
his opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Welcome in to Retro Wrestling Rewind, episode number 23. As always, I am your humble host. I am David Fine, alongside my co-host and tag team partner, the true Long Island IC, Alex G. How the hell are you doing today?
Don't sound so excited. It's Super Clash 3 day today.
Oh my God, I was rewatching this show early.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, I know. Didn't I pick this?
I'm pretty sure you
show?
did. I'm pretty sure you did.
Well, whatever. I mean, it had a freaking lingerie battle royal.
Yes, sure as hell did.
You're super excited about that, aren't you?
I mean, if you look at the names that are in this match, I'm a big fan of the Syrian terrorists. So there you go.
That definitely wouldn't get away with it right now. So the terrorists, yeah, that they tried to do that in the WWE, but that really didn't work. But I mean, it was an okay show. I mean, had DDP on it, and
it has stars. It has guys. There's wrestlers on their show. It's not like Heroes of Wrestling or like an XPW pay-per-view.
No, that's actually where we're going to be covering the next couple of weeks an XPW show, because I've never actually seen an XPW show, and I've been told that I need to watch it. Is that true?
Yeah, you may want to watch it incognito. You know, send the wife and kid to bed and stay up late to watch this show because.
Should I bring up that incognito tab on Google Chrome?
It might be your best bet.
Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, this show, there was only 15 or 1,672 people in Chicago for Super Clash 3. What was the reason for the low attendance, do you think?
Well, because it's AWA 1988. It's awful.
It was. That I know there's a controversy that you were talking about.
There's a lot of shenanigans and tomfoolery around this show.
I mean, do you want to kind of get the tomfoolery and shenanigans off your chest at the top?
Out of the way. The main event of this show is Jerry Lawler, who defeated Kerry Von Erich due to referee stoppage. Right, so Vince McMahon, being Vince and being awesome. He called the Illinois Athletic Commission and told them that Kerry Von Erich was missing a foot. Now, there's a rule on the Illinois State Athletic Commission that you need to have both feet to compete in boxing or wrestling. So they almost got the show shut down because of that, which is awesome. Way to go, Vince. Ironically enough, Vince would hire him 2 years later.
And make him the Texas Tornado, so...
In addition, from what I understand, Kerry Von Erich thought he was going over in this match, but he wasn't.
He was not. But the first match actually has somebody that we're going to actually be across the room. Not really the room. We're going to be like probably 10 feet
Mike
away.
Davis?
Yes, Mike Davis.
I'm a big
Cactus
Jack. RPMs fan.
no Cactus Jack. Are you super excited about our location at WrestleCon?
Yes,
we're gonna be at booth 45 on the second level. America's number 2. I think it's on the second level. There's a first level, and we're on the second level. We're right next to Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
or
tough
Dugan,
guy,
if you want to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, hey, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you want to be on the show? And he'll hit me with his 2 before.
You will. You absolutely will.
We're right next to Mick Foley. We're next to DDP, Kevin Nash, Ric Flair, Lita, and Trish Stratus. So
The way you said that was creepy, man.
What, Trish Stratus or Ric Flair?
No, Trish Stratus. Like you said that with a weird pause, a weird exit.
No, I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going to be there on Friday, the 5th of April. We're coming up on a month to WrestleCon. I mean, it's going to be fun. We got our WrestleMania tickets. Where again are your tickets located?
No, because I don't want to be mobbed by all our fans. I'm not letting that information out. You crazy?
I just want to say that I will be in a suite at MetLife Stadium. The Retro Wrestling Rewind has splurged for suite tickets. Unfortunately, we don't like anybody from Long Island in the suite, so you will not be there, unfortunately. But it'll be a great weekend nonetheless.
Do you know where I went last time for WrestleMania 29? The section that I was in, you had access to your own private merch and your own private concessions inside. So you would go into this room and it would have concessions and merch on the inside. And you could really sit at the table, eat your food, and watch through the window. Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, the main event, it looks like it's going to be a women's three-way. But we'll have to see coming up in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we're going to be there the 5th from 9 to 4. I unfortunately probably won't be there till about 10 o'clock if I'm lucky, coming from LaGuardia. And then I'll be there till LaGuardia.
What is with the accent?
I mean, isn't that how you say it, LaGuardia?
No one talks
how
like
do you
that.
say it?
No one, LaGuardia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what you're saying.
I'm a Southerner trying to talk like I'm from New York. So I'm talking like I'm on reality television.
Yeah, that's the point.
But we'll be there on Friday till 4. We'll be there on Saturday 9 to 4. Have you signed any more? Signed up for any more autographs and gimmick?
Well, then the big one. Pictures? The big one is Muda. The big one is Muda. So.
I mean, have they released a sign up for him, or is that still on the?
I'm still waiting. I look at it every day, make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I look on the WrestleCon website every day, and they keep on adding people. I know they took off a couple of people. I mean, I know this has nothing to do with WrestleCon, but I know that the Undertaker is not going to be at StarCast. So I heard there's a
they pulled
big.
Them?
Conrad Thompson's being sued. That's what I heard. So that's what they said in the last What Happened When's podcast.
So the WWE is suing him?
I don't know if it was I don't know if it's the E, but someone's suing him. So, and I don't know. It's one of those things. And another retro news. What were your thoughts on Arn Anderson being let go from his producer duties at WWE?
Well, we don't know if he was let go. I don't know if he asked for his release or he wants to officially retire.
He's not going to retire.
He's getting up there in age at this point.
I mean, he's at least 60, I think, maybe.
Yeah, he has to be up there. I mean, you lose Arn Anderson, but they pick up Bruce Pritchard for creative, so.
And Abyss has been signed, so
yeah.
I think that he was supposed to be at WrestleCon. I don't think he's going to be there anymore, but yeah. But WrestleCon's going to be fun. We're going to have a giveaway. We have some cool stuff that's going to be sent to me, and we're going to be sending it up to you to get packaged by your sister.
Yeah.
And we're going to sell some merch. We have our website or not website, but our merch site coming up on whatamaneuver.com. is going to be coming up pretty soon. So, folks, there'll be a link in the show notes in the next couple of weeks that you can order your own Retro Wrestling Rewind merch. And, folks, if you're going to be at WrestleCon and you wear your merch, maybe it's something a little extra, but it's going to be fun. You're looking forward to a great weekend because you have a full lineup, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have something every night except for Friday. Friday, I'm going to take my wife out to dinner in New York City, so.
Oh, isn't that nice? You're going to take her to the McDonald's? That's nice.
McDonald's is down the block. We go there all the time.
I would take my wife out to dinner, but she's not going to be there. So I may be going to Takeover in Brooklyn at the Barclays, but they
added buses, from what I understand, to shuttle to the various events, which is sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be fun on Sunday trying to get to WrestleMania. Never been to MetLife. What's your mode of transportation there? Are you going to take the train?
I'm driving my car.
Oh, yeah, because you're going to be going. Are you going to be going home right after that?
Home right after.
That sounds like a fun. It's going to be a long day at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm praying for good weather. I mean, I don't know. It's April, so
it rained last time. Well, drizzle. I guess you would call it a misty drizzle. I don't know. It was cold, and they ran out of hoodies, so I had to buy a WrestleMania 29 blanket.
But you know what? Okay, so I just wanted to also tell you, you can buy a Retro Wrestling Rewind hoodie, shirt, sweatshirt. So if you want to buy one of those, you'll be warm at WrestleMania 35.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. But getting down to a show that, I mean, it had DDP, had some stars, had some controversy. Super Clash 3, I mean, they started off with the Guerreros, Chavo, Mondo, and Hector. They defeated the great Cactus Jack and the Rock and Roll RPMs, Mike Davis and Tommy Lane. I mean, what were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, the Guerreros, fucking awesome. Early Cactus Jack here in '88 that we see. Interesting that, just almost like 2 years prior that he was getting jobbed out by the British Bulldogs, and now he's here, on a major pay-per-view, and it must have been his first pay-per-view in 1988. So it's nice to see him getting a shot here. He was a early Smart Mark favorite. So seeing him on the opener was pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it was a good match. I mean, it was, like you said, an early Cactus Jack. I mean, who would have known, that he would be such a legend?
Did you know, as a child, when I was in the 5th grade, I had a tutor for math who claimed to be the niece of Cactus Jack? And that has to be legitimate based on where I was living at the time. And the fact that who's going to say that my uncle's Cactus Jack, especially if you're like a 12-year-old girl?
Yeah, that seems like a shoot. I mean, why would a 12-year-old girl just
I'm pretty sure she wasn't watching WCW like in 1991.
No, yeah, I mean, I believe that. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, it was good for an opening. It was 6 minutes 35 seconds. The next match had the great Double J Jeff Jarrett against Eric Embry. It was a singles match.
I love Eric Embry, by the way.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I loved Eric Embry. He was good. Jeff Jarrett. I mean, he's back in the WWE. He's a little older and a little.
He's getting up. He's getting up there.
Yeah, he's gained a couple pounds, but this was for the WCWA World Light Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, it's the World Class Wrestling Association.
And tell anybody that's listening that has no idea what the hell the World Class Wrestling Association. I know it got bought out by. Didn't it get bought out by the USWA?
It's very complicated. So it was the World Class Wrestling Association was the former World Class Championship Wrestling. Basically, when they chose to create their own world title and break away from the NWA, this is what replaced it. Now, eventually, this would get bought out by Jerry Jarrett, and they would go on to form the USWA.
Yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts on the USWA? I was a big USWA
Like, it's
fan.
like there's parts of it that are like super awesome, and then there's like just years that are just bad. It's just so bad. But like it's so watchable though because it is so bad you don't really expect a whole lot from it. When they lost Lance Russell for that, when he went to WCW, that hurt the show. But Corey Macklin, who's like great in his own bad way, you know what I mean? In terms of announcer, I think he's better than Michael Cole. I'll take Corey Macklin over Michael Cole any day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Michael Cole fan. I mean, I was a big Corey Graves fan until all this controversy.
You saw that wildness on the. I told you about that the other day. I was talking. I think I mentioned on the last show actually that I don't know. He's not necessarily a good follow on Twitter.
No, he's. I mean, I don't know. But speaking of Jarrett, I've been in contact with actually a new network. It's a free network that they're actually going to be a sponsor here on the network. It's the Jarrett Parsons Wrestling TV. They're going to have wrestling from the 70s, the 80s. They're going to have stuff from Memphis, Southwest, Portland, and more. It's going to be on the
Portland
Roku.
stuff is real interesting because there's not a whole lot out there available in Portland.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be free. It's going to be on the Roku device. They're going to be debuting mid-March, but they're going to come on as a sponsor. So it's going to be it's one of the Jarrett's. I think his Jerry Jarrett.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's the owner of the new organization. So it's going to be pretty fun. I mean, Jeff Jarrett. I mean, back in the WWE. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I mean, they need guys with experience in terms of that producer role because they got like a lot of younger guys, and they have a lot of guys in there that are producers that weren't necessarily that high up on the card. So Jeff Jarrett can come at it from a main eventer's perspective, which is always good.
I mean, I don't mind him being there. He's pretty good.
They should have brought in Eric Embry. Fuck.
I mean, yeah. Hey,
Eric Embry, underrated booker, by the way.
It's still early in the year, so.
Imagine WWE 2019 brings in Eric Embry as part of creative. Oh man, that'd be awesome.
That would be great. And speaking of person they should not bring in creative is handsome Jimmy Valiant, Boogie Woogie Man. He took on Wayne Bloom.
Wayne Bloom, one half of the Destruction Crew, also known as the Beverly Brothers.
This match lasted 24 seconds.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jimmy Valiant. How long would you expect him to go?
What's the point? What's the point of putting on a 24-second match?
Jimmy Valiant is over, but he can't work. So what do you do with him?
You put him in a 24-second match. Oh my God! I mean, if you were a wrestler back in the '80s and you were told you were putting a program with Jimmy Valiant, what would you do?
I mean, unless you were, Paul Jones, who feuded with him for apparently 10 years. No, you'd be happy to be in a feud with Jimmy because that means you're making money.
Yeah, I mean, and you get to see Big Mama, so
yeah.
But I don't know. He's actually going to be at WrestleCon, so
I know a lot of people give Jimmy Valiant shit, but the guy fucking drew. Like, how can you even be mad about that?
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of guys that I was a big
Brickhouse
fan
Brown.
of, yes, I was a big fan of Brickhouse Brown.
He recently passed away, by the way.
Wow, that's super sad.
If you guys want to see the most hilarious thing ever, go to highspots.com or Highspots TV and just watch the Brickhouse Brown shoot interviews because they're insane and they're awesome.
And speaking of awesome, at least I think he's awesome. He was the current WCWA Texas Heavyweight Champion.
Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Just rolls off the tongue.
I don't know. What were your thoughts on Iceman Keith Parsons?
I mean, he was fantastic. He was trained around the same time with Dr. Tom Pritchard. Decent worker. He was over. Good gimmick, good look. He was fantastic all around. Didn't like him when he was part of the Freebirds. When he was, that was weird. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, it was. He had a funny hairdo. He should have just shaved his head. He had like two ponytails.
So this show's essentially three-way promoted between World Class, Memphis, and the AWA. It goes to show, and yeah, I'm not counting POW. Okay, fuck it. But it goes to show you like how hurt the AWA was here, and how hurt the other promotions. They're trying to band together here. They couldn't do it with Crockett. NWA is not what it was. They're about to sell by the end of the year. So the AWA is trying to take anyone they can to kind of build this pay-per-view, get everyone's talent together to go against it, and nope. Like, what was I think the buy rate was so low on this event that it didn't even register.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do really crappy if you
because my co-host
register.
Matt, this was the first pay-per-view that he bought. I'm like, you watch wrestling after this?
Yeah, I mean, and let's kind of take a break from talking about Super Clash. If people want to see a great YouTube channel, the Retro Wrestling Games presents. I mean, how can they follow you and how can they find it on YouTube? Well,
if you want to YouTube, you want to type in Retro Wrestling Games. We are the first thing that pops up, so click on that. Make sure you subscribe. You hit the bell, watch a video, like it, and comment on it. Recently, we just put up some footage of a No Mercy mod that's called AAA versus CMML, which they basically hacked the game and they put luchadors in there instead. So that was a lot of fun. So.
That sounds pretty good. I mean, you have any more contests coming up, or is that
no? We just gave away last week. Just gave away that Nintendo 64 to a young man down in Florida. So he was real excited to have it. Actually, there's a real interesting story that goes along with that. His house was burgled a while back, and they stole many of his consoles, the N64 being one of them. So he was very, very excited to.
Surprisingly, you ended up with a 64. Coincidence? I think
don't do that, because I already had to scream. So I had to scream at someone on Twitter already for saying that was rigged. I cursed them out.
And did you block this said person?
No, because I don't block people on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I block is those, spam adult bots. But I mean, I look at them and then
the adult bots.
And then
who are you following? I never get those.
Moving on. Anyway, the next match, it was a mixed tag, but it had a weird stipulation.
It had like weird
AWA
ECW type rules.
Yeah, the AWA World Tag Team Championship held by Bad Company of Paul Demon and Pat Tanaka. Their titles were on the line, and also Wendy Richter's World Women's Championship was on the line. They had the Top Guns, Ricky Rice, Derek Dukes versus Bad Company, and Medusa Michelli with the great DDP.
Wasn't great at this point.
No, he was. He had terrible hair. He was really heavy, but now, not so much. They don't call it DDP Yoga. They call it DDPY. So. Why would you pay $65 to do it in New York and you can do it for $15 here in Atlanta? I don't know, but he'll be in the same room as us at WrestleCon, so maybe he'll be on the old podcast.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this match?
I have a question. Do you think Wendy Richter was the hottest women's wrestler in the 80s?
No.
Who's the hottest woman wrestler in the 80s?
Was Medusa wrestling in the 80s?
Well, she's wrestling on this show in 1988, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was a lot better looking than Wendy Richter. I mean,
Medusa in 88, though?
I mean, her outfit was good. I mean, there are a lot of people in the women's lingerie battle royal that were good
those
looking.
Those are not women wrestlers, though. Those are like glow girls. Those don't count.
Well, I mean, you don't think the Syrian terrorist is hot?
Glow girl. Like I'd probably go like Wendy Richter and then like Velvet McIntyre, and that's it. Jumping Bon Angel. Oh man,
the Fabulous Moolah.
That's rough. That is rough.
I mean,
Sherry. Sherry too. Don't forget about Sherry.
Yeah, she was always hot.
She's all the way live.
Yeah, she's. And then we kind of rank the women's wrestlers and managers like in the mid 90s, early 2000s, like Sunny. But you signed up for her meet and greet at WrestleCon yet?
I heard she got arrested again.
Yeah, and have you seen the mugshot?
That was bad.
Yeah, that was bad company. Oh, but hope she didn't listen to podcasts.
You know what's cool about this match though, is that Pat Tanaka fucking super kicked the shit out of fucking Medusa.
yeah, and I mean, and they gave the titles to Ricky Rice and Derek Dukes. I mean, was Bad Company on the way out of the promotion, or were they just wanted to switch the titles?
I think they're probably leaving. I'm not sure if they left after this, but they wouldn't show up. Like Tanaka shows up in WWF in 1990.
90?
Like a couple months after this. So yeah, Pat Tanaka leaves because this show's in December. So yeah, Pat Tanaka goes and forms. They both go to WWF actually, but not as Bad Company, not as a tag team. They go separate.
Yeah, it was an okay match.
Paul Diamond is fucking underrated as all hell.
Yeah, and Pat Tanaka is really good. What were your thoughts on Ricky Rice and Derek Dukes?
I like Derek Dukes when when he's not getting painted white, which is insane. Nice job, AWA.
It is the
because you had Colonel De Beers, so Ooh.
Oh, were you a fan of Colonel De Beers?
I can't say that I was because he was pro-apartheid was the gimmick.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the.
It's a lot of race.
I mean,
it's way too much race baiting for me.
I mean, what were your thoughts on them basing gimmicks and angles on the political scene?
It's
at
rough.
The time?
It's rough. Like I don't mind stereotypes so much. Stereotypes have been part of wrestling forever, right? We've seen it, right? And that's kind of one of the things that you have to accept, and in some cases enjoy if they're done well. When you go full on fucking race baiting, or you go full on Iraq war shit, like, nah, that's not good. That's not a good look.
No, it's. I mean, the Iron Sheik, he's been the gimmick since what the mid '80s.
Yeah, but he was always like the Sheik is different. Sheik is more of a stereotype, and actually, the gimmick he was portraying was the opposite of who he actually was. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like being, he was on the other side of that war. He was a bodyguard for the Shah of Iran. That kind of stuff, right? So it was different than the political landscape than who we were fighting against at the time. So plus Iron Sheik was like a coach for the U.S. Olympic team for wrestling. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Iron Sheik, I break it back, make it humble.
Sheiky baby, love Sheiky baby.
I want to see that his documentary. Have you seen it?
I have not.
I mean, it sounds like it's pretty good. But speaking of a match that was it was okay. It lasted 5 minutes 52 seconds. Greg Gagne defeated Ron Garvin by countout for the vacant.
What the fuck is Ron Garvin doing here?
Wasn't he in the NWA in 1988?
He's on his way. This must be in between NWA and WWF.
Yeah.
Because he's in the WWF not too much long after this.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that.
Because he's in Rumble '89.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It was for the AWA International Television.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like
they're just making up belts.
I mean,
and there was two champions, Greg Gagne and Ron Garvin. They made up this belt. In December, a year before, and they had Greg hold it for 265 days. Ron Garvin held it for 87 days. And then Greg Gagne for another 292 days.
And then they disbanded it or got rid of it. It must have been a title that Greg Gagne just decided, hey, I want to be champion.
Okay, so according to Wikipedia, our friends, this was a tournament that aired on ESPN when the AWA debuted on ESPN. So this is why they have this.
Uh-huh. Oh, because it was of course it was defended on TV.
It was filled with a several month-long tournament, and it was defended on their broadcast on ESPN.
It's never good when it says a several-month tournament. So.
Yeah, that's right.
That never bodes well. But speaking of something that was a terrible idea, is a Syrian terrorist defeated Bambi, Peggy Lee Leather, Laura Lynn, Brandy May, Malibu, Nina Pocahontas, which seems like a terrible stereotype, and Ludovic Shawn in a lingerie battle royal. Your thoughts?
It's rough. That's rough. Like the WWE wasn't even doing this shit back then. They were doing no lingerie battle royals. Like it seems kind of like 1998 WWF, not 1988 AWA. Who convinced Vern on this? I want to be in the pitch meeting when someone, most likely Greg, was pitching this to Vern. We're gonna have these wrestlers, these women wrestlers. We're gonna have 8 of them, and they're gonna be dressed in lingerie. It's gonna be great.
Hey, and I was just looking up one of the combatants, Nina. She was actually Ivory in the WWFE, right. And she was the WWE Women's Champion. And she is in the Hall of Fame class of 2018. So
there it is.
Just saying. There it is. Thought you knew.
Oh, we have Luna. But, Luna should be in the Hall of Fame too, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and then Peggy Leather, Bambi, and the Syrian terrorist. I can't look up the Syrian terrorist because I don't want to type that in Google because then I may be on some kind of list. Be some kind of list. Be some kind of on some kind of list. And
let's be honest, we're already on a couple of lists.
I mean, just because I ended up on that show with what was that show?
Chris Hansen?
Yeah, it was. I thought they said it was going to a Hansen concert, but it was Chris Hansen. It was kind of weird, but hey, we all make mistakes. But I mean, you've been to strip clubs in New York that you told me not to go to, correct? You said wear baggy pants and no underwear, right?
No, I said do not wear sweatpants with no underwear on.
Okay. I don't think.
And
I
don't
think I'll
go
just
quarters on stage either. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And don't take your credit card and swipe in a girl's butt like it's a checkout either.
Oh God. Yeah, and I don't think I'll be going to any of those things. I'm going to be hanging out at the hotel, getting some epic interviews, probably at the bar, because as we know, most legends. I mean, they some of them like to drink. Don't offer Ric Flair a drink because he doesn't drink anymore. So. But yeah,
it's 70th birthday this week.
Yeah, and it was in Atlanta. And did you see all the people that were there? Triple H, Chris Jericho. I mean, of course, that started the rumors of Chris Jericho and Triple H in the same picture. He's going to AEW. He's not going to come back to the WWE. But it's
70-year-old Flair going to do in the AEW. I did see a 76-year-old Bill Mascaros wrestle in Mexico the other day.
Well, I mean, isn't Rey Mysterio almost 70? Oh, that's Rey Mysterio Sr.
Rey Mysterio Sr. Rey's still like 26 years old because he started wrestling when he was like 11. So.
And according to Tony Schiavone, he said he loves him without the mask on. He says he's a handsome guy.
He's good looking.
Man.
He's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
Could be my cousin, by the way. We're not sure about that. You take a paternity test.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should. Speaking of that, I mean, are you gonna sign up for the Vicky Guerrero meet and greet at WrestleCon?
No, because she'll be behind a wall. She's not gonna be happy to see me. I don't think.
Why is that?
Because.
Is it because you're from Long Island?
It has something to do with me, and the fact that I'm a handsome-looking man.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I'm not gonna have the wife up in New York, so I mean, if I was you never know. If Vicky Guerrero hits on me, I'd be like, didn't you get out of wrestling and I guess like a degree in some, like a master's degree in something? So she's doing something like legit. I mean, she's like totally out of like wrestling. I guess she's probably doing the conventions, but her daughter. I'm kind of glad for her.
Her daughter's married to Aiden English, or they're married or no married, I believe.
Yeah, they're married, and it's funny. A buddy of mine who's actually going to be attending WrestleMania and WrestleCon with me this year, that I work with, he has actually worked with Aiden English back when he was a wrestler, back when he used to do Access, and he was one of the workers in Access and WrestleMania. And he told him, he's like, 1 year, I'm going to be a wrestler. And my buddy said, yeah, right. And look at him now. He's a wrestler in the WWE, and he's married to Vicky Guerrero's daughter. So I mean, hey, Can't beat that, but a match that you can't beat because it has your two favorite wrestlers in there, the Great Sergeant Slaughter
Sarge, by the way,
versus Colonel De Beers with Diamond Dallas Page in a boot camp match. Your thoughts on this? It didn't have a time limit on it, so I guess I think I skipped over this match on when I was watching it back. Did you skip the whole thing? Yeah, I did.
I mean,
it was. I just can't watch Sergeant Slaughter. I'm not a big fan.
You don't like Mid-Atlantic Slaughter or like 80, 83, 84 WWF Slaughter?
I mean, I like a Mid-Atlantic Slaughter. I mean, when he was a little younger, but I didn't like him when he was in the WWF. Whenever he turned, and back in the whole.
That's 91. That's 3 years from this.
But the whole against America crap, and it's like. Really?
Yeah.
He got he was a super heel back then, so.
Not for nothing. Like, you think people like the WWF put him in a position where he asked for his country back? They turned him babyface, and then Duggan come out and endorse him, although he beat him with Duggan for a while before that. Like, did you expect that everyone's gonna accept him back as a babyface? Because it was like, no. I remember they did Slaughter's retirement match on TV too. But
Yeah,
that's like one of the few times they actually announced that an active wrestler was going to go behind the scenes and be a WWF official.
yeah. I mean,
It was really weird.
Speaking of another retirement, finally,
We're not going to mention
the
that she came out with Agnon and beat the hell out of Slaughter until the Guerreros of all people made the save.
yeah, I don't, the Guerreros, they're everywhere. I mean, it's how many Guerreros wrestlers are there? I mean, there's got to be about at least 20.
There's I mean, there's not 20, but you have Mondo, right? You have Hector, right? You have Eddie, you have Chavo Jr., and you had shit. What was the dad's name? Why am I blanking?
Mr. Guerrero.
Shut up.
I don't know.
Hold on, I want Gory Guerrero. Fuck. What the fuck's wrong with me?
Well, I mean, we don't have that much time to tell you what's wrong with you. But speaking, I mean, we're talking about retiring. The great Abdul the Butcher, the madman from the Sudan, actually has retired officially. They had a ceremony over in Tokyo this past week, so I guess he won't be terrorizing any independent wrestling shows anymore. So, I mean, I was a big Abdul the Butcher fan. I didn't get Hep C from his restaurant because I never went there. But
if I lived down there, I'd fucking be there all the time. If you're a wrestling fan in the Atlanta area and you go to Abdul's house of Chinese food and ribs, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of things that are in Atlanta, because of course DDP has his yoga studio in Atlanta, close to where I work, and there's so many people. I went in there. There's so many wrestling fans that take the free. Because you can take the first course the first lesson is free. Right. To see if you like it and whatever. And there's so many people just barking out and just wanting pictures with them. I mean, if any wrestler that has a restaurant, or I mean, like Scott Steiner has his son or Shoney's up in Ackworth, Georgia. I mean, he's got a whole.
You've been to Shoney's? How is it? We don't Shoney's up here, so I wouldn't know.
I've never been to. I think I went to Shoney's a long time ago, but it was like in the mid '90s when I used to, travel the independent wrestling.
I forget you only eat at fancy restaurants because you're bougie. That's why.
Yeah, I eat at fancy restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King,
Cracker Barrel.
Hey! I did eat at Cracker Barrel this past week.
I've never had Cracker Barrel either.
Coming back from the fine family house up in North Carolina, so. I heard you had a good time, a good trip. You have a good time on this past weekend on your family trip?
We went to the Poconos, and we went to an indoor water park, which is always fun. The kids really enjoyed it, and it was a good time. Fun was had by all. Yeah,
I mean, it's always fun, folks. If you ever have a good time, go up to that. I did some research on the place that the great Alex G went. I suggest it. I've never been to the Poconos.
It was fucking packed because it's winter recess. So it was a lot of people there.
Yeah, but I mean, this match. What were your thoughts on a boot camp match?
But they're fun. I mean, obviously you had the Hogan Slaughter ones that were really cool. Back in the day, I know that Sergeant Slaughter and Pat Patterson. I think that was a back alley match. I don't think that was a boot camp match though. But same concept. Just what people would consider today a hardcore match.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, from what I watched of it, I watched there's
a Hogan Slaughter one from '91 that's really good. Might be Hogan's best match that year.
God, I'm not going to be surprised if Hogan doesn't show up at WrestleCon. I mean, does he do those kind of conventions?
He does. I mean, I met him at the New York City Comic Con, and it was expensive. It was like $200, by the way. But he did the last WrestleCon. He might do because he signed with WWE. He might just do Access.
Yeah, and Access I've heard is like nowhere near anything that like. I mean, it's like at Pier 12 or Pier whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's in Brooklyn.
I've heard it's a hall. I mean, if you're not used to that,
it's better because when they had it at the Izod Center last time, that was shitty.
And speaking, I mean, did you sign up for the Bret Hart meet and greet at WrestleCon?
No.
Who was the most expensive one that you've signed up for? I mean, what's the? I know you want to. I know.
Well, the most expensive one out there that I've seen right now. It's probably going to end up being Flair, but I think Shawn Michaels is more money.
Yeah, but you, I mean, you were willing to pay whatever to meet Great Muta, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna have to walk around and see who's there.
There's a couple of guys that like, especially the international talent. So you're talking about these guys, a lot of guys coming in from Mexico, there's a lot of guys coming in from Japan, and you don't get to see those guys on the normal convention circuit because there's conventions that run here, twice, 3 times a year. So the same old guys usually are there. A couple of headliners that you don't get to see very often, but having Muta there is a big deal. Having Onita there is a big deal. Having Ultimo Dragon there is a big deal. Having Penta and Bandito there, those are big deals because we don't get them here very often.
And I'm gonna kind of put this up in the heavens. I've been talking to the great PCO. He may make a drive-through at our booth at WrestleCon. So I just wanted to tell everybody that. So that's why you have to go to booth number 45 on the second level, WrestleCon. We're gonna be there Friday and Saturday, the 5th and the 6th. So I'm looking forward to finally locking eyes with PCO.
That sounded weird, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking back and forth on text message, and he's going to be there for the Ring of Honor show because he signed with Ring of Honor, and he said he's going to try to make it over to WrestleCon. So if he's there, he's definitely going to come over to our booth, and so that of course will attract a lot of attention to our booth. But I mean, I don't want to take away from Flair or Nash or DDP or even Hacksaw Jim Dugan. I mean, he's going to be signing those pieces of wood because I remember the last time I met him at it wasn't a convention, it was a show, but he was signing merchandise. He had a whole truckload of 2x4s. So you're gonna see a bunch of drunk wrestling fans maybe have 2x4s, wheeling them around in a convention full of a lot of people because you say these things are packed.
Historically, they're packed to the gills. But I don't know how big and you said there was 2 floors, so that might alleviate some of the.
Yeah, and I was told by the head of WrestleCon that he limited the amount of like vendors and people that he's going to have at the show because he could have sold double, but he didn't want it to be packed, and everybody be uncomfortable and it just be kind of a miserable experience.
Plus, wrestling vendors usually do their shit very late.
Yeah, so were you trying to say that people? I mean, should show up early to meet us, but then should stay around later because that's when the wrestlers will probably show up.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be the opening act to Ric Flair, Mick Foley. I told my buddy at work who's going to be going to WrestleMania, WrestleCon with us. I said I'm going to get Mick Foley on the podcast, or he's gonna put the old socko in my mouth. He's going to be on the program. I'm into weird things, but I'm willing to do it.
I notice you need help.
I am seeing a person. So, but speaking of people that that I don't understand this next match. It was a SST, the Samoan SWAT team, with Samu and Fatu, with the great Buddy Roberts. They were the WCWA World Tag Team Champions. They defeated Michael Aiken, Sing Like a Rock Star Hayes.
Not a rock star.
And Steve Cox. I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, Buddy Roberts was a heel. Had he recently turned on Michael Hayes? I mean, it's just a lot. I did my research and I watched it, but for people who maybe didn't do their research before this program, kind of talk about Buddy Roberts and Michael Hayes there, 'cause they were the Freebirds. I mean,
they've been feuding on and off. The late '80s was kind of weird, and then like Buddy Roberts tried to have his like own kind of Freebird thing going on, and it was really weird. This is coming straight out of World Class. I think Michael is actually booking World Class at this point in 1988, but I could be wrong. So again, who's headlining World Class? Oh, it's Michael Hayes and Buddy Roberts. Awesome.
Oh, that's a great program. But I mean, what were your thoughts on Samu and Fatu?
The head shrinkers, the SST, whatever you want to call them. They're fucking awesome. I was always mad that they got jobbed out in that Starrcade '89 Future Shock. when they replaced skyscrapers in that show, and like they with them and that Paul with Paul Heyman, and they were a fantastic team, and they eventually did rise to prominence in the WWF, actually became WWF Tag Team Champions. So a really good team. You call them proto Usos.
Yeah, I mean, and the Usos, you saw that one of the Usos was actually in the Uso penitentiary. He got arrested for, it was, anyway, but I'm not a big fan of the Usos. The Samoan SWAT team, I was a big fan. I mean, especially, what were your thoughts on their time in WCW? I mean, did you like them back in the mid-'80s or WCW?
The coolest thing about their WCW run is the fact they came out to the Halloween music.
Yeah.
Like they did good matches, but it wasn't like WCW was necessarily booking their tag team division all that strong during their run there. And you're going to be the fourth tag team behind the Horsemen, the Steiners, and the Road Warriors. There's not a lot of places for you to go. But by the time they came into the WWF, their tag team division is kind of thinned out, and they were able to be on the top of the division for a while.
Yeah, they were, like you said, a great tag team. So it is what it is. When they were managed by Paul Lee, I think that was their better time.
Yeah, I can see. They had that War Games match with the Midnights and Dr. Death, and that was fun. And they did a lot of cool stuff at WCW.
Yeah, it was one of those things that they were never like super great, but they were not super bad. Speaking of the next match is just two wrestlers who, one of them is good, the other one is Manny Fernandez. Wahoo McDaniels, as they would call him, defeated Manny Fernandez in an Indian strap match, and it's another stereotype.
Wahoo's different. Wahoo's different.
Why is Wahoo different?
Wahoo is different because number one, because it's Wahoo McDaniel, and his lineage is he's not a strongbow, so he's legitimately Native American. And if you watch Wahoo McDaniel throughout his career, he was never portrayed as a savage, and then that's where people get kind of fucked up with that. Is when you portrayed him like he was wearing suits and shit with the headdress and everything. Like he was, they always brought up the fact that he played for the Jets and the Green Bay Packers, and he was a legitimate sports, star and athlete. And he wasn't someone that was necessarily a goofy, silly, derogatory stereotype. So Wahoo gets a pass.
It was a good match. What were your thoughts on this match? It went 7:48.
Indian strap match is just like any other, would it be a bull rope match? Would it be a chain match? The same concept applies here. Although Wahoo is notoriously fucking stiff with those fucking strap shots, though.
Yeah, Wahoo was a great wrestler. Manny was good. I remember Manny when he was a singles wrestler, and then he went to be with a Ravishing Rick Rude.
That was a great tag team, underrated, by the way.
They were great. They were the NWA World Tag Team Champions, and
it seemed like a very thrown together tag team. Like Rude and Fernandez was like it seemed kind of really kind of thrown together, but they were really really good. Yeah, and that's when Rude really got some seasoning and got kind of polished up there.
Yeah, did they have a big? Who was their big feud with? Was it Rockin'? No, was it Rockin'? No, was it Road Warriors? One of the tag teams in the NBA. It was, but whoever it was a great feud. They were a great tag team. They're probably one of my favorites. They of course came out to We Will Rock You, which of course if you watch it on the network now, it's not that. It's some generic music. They use the same generic music for everybody that comes out, except for Michael P.S. Hayes. Back in in WCW days because they own that music. So, but yeah, it was an okay match. But I got a question. Okay, why did they put on Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich before the? What were your thoughts on this match?
Why they had the unification match and then they had a tag team match? Yes. Afterwards, I'm not necessarily all that sure.
You would think that would be the main event.
Well, but... it is. Although I do enjoy the stud stable, Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden, and the Rock and Roll Express. Not for nothing, you put Lawler and Ron Eric on last. So, there had to be an actual reason for that. I'm just not necessarily like it's not really necessarily known why that went on last. I mean, it was a big feud, it was important, but over a title match, that's unification. That you were legitimately going to unify the belts here, it wasn't going to be a fuck finish. Like I would understand if the Lawler Von Erich match was like a DQ, double DQ, count out, whatever. But this was a legitimate finish, and you have a new unified champion, and that goes on in the semi-main, which is weird.
I mean, what were your thoughts on this match? It was really good. I'm a big
fucking blood, bro. The blood.
Yeah, I'm like back then. I'm not a big Jerry Lawler fan now. He's just kind of goofy and just kind of gimmicky. But back, I saw some.
I love Jerry Lawler pre 1990.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some early, like late 70s, early 80s footage of him on YouTube today, and he was freaking young. I mean, he was so good.
There was probably a 10 to 15 year period where he was probably the top 5 wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, I mean, he's great on the stick. He's great in the ring. I mean, he can carry a person who's not very good in the ring. I mean, he's just great. Then there's Kerry Von Erich. I mean, of course, he's
Kerry Von Erich cut his side because he had his blade in his finger, and he cut himself. So that's why he's bleeding from seemingly everywhere.
Oh God! I mean, it's one of those things. It's
can we get a fuck Stanley Blackburn going? Because
fuck Stanley Blackburn.
Yes. I just say that. That's one of my.
I mean,
because he's the worst. He's him and Stanley Blackburn, right, and Lord James Blears are two of the worst authority figures in wrestling, like in the history. I'm talking about in terms of kayfabe. Like they just were shitty at their jobs. Like Jack Tunney, kayfabe. Jack Tunney was actually competent, being the president of the WWF. Stanley Blackburn, Lord James Blears, not so much.
You weren't. I cannot believe. I mean, but you thought they were. You thought Jack Tunney was better than those two guys.
Yeah, Jack Tunney was awesome. Yeah, also, by the way, we failed to mention. By the way, because I had to throw him out because he's Japanese. Tatsuma Fujinami makes the save on in the Wahoo Manny Fernandez match. So. See an appearance by Tatsumi Fujinami, future NWA World Champion. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I mean, it should have been the main, but it wasn't. I mean, we can't go back and
do you like the finish?
Do anything about
the referee stoppage? Do the blood ball?
I mean, what do you think? Why do you think they decided to do that?
Because that was a negotiated finish. Because you had Vern and Jerry on one side, and you had Fritz and the Von Erichs on the other side. This was the negotiated finish.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's
because you remember that Lawler is down. He's in the claw, and the referee stops the match due to excessive blood loss on Kerry's part. So, and like basically the way it looked is like Kerry was going to win if the referee didn't stop the match. So the heat's on the referee, and it's not Kerry's doing a clean job here.
Yeah, I mean it's.
And they would fight. They would feud forever after this until he would go to WWF.
Yeah, I mean it's. Kerry Von Erich definitely. He got a good pop in Chicago.
Yeah, which is you guys forget. You guys, I think a lot of people forget how strong that World Class TV was, and they had that fucking everywhere.
Yes, they did. And let's kind of get to the last match on the card. It was a tag team match. The Rock and Roll Express, the great Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, took on the stud stable of Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden with Miss Sylvia to a double disqualification.
Yeah.
And this is how they ended the show.
That's the problem. See, that's what Vince used to do. Vince used to send the crowd home happy. So whatever it was, if it would be Lawler, they're in an AWA town in Chicago, so if Lawler's winning the championship here, that should be the last thing you see is Lawler with the two belts, right? You create moments, right? Having a kind of a schmoz kind of bullshit fucking finish to end the show. That's the last thing that people are going to remember, and it's the reason why they stopped going to AWA shows.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean,
because you have the fallout from the show too, by the way, which Vern stole all the money and ran away, and then it paid Lawler, so Lawler quit the AWA as world champion, keeps the belt, and then eventually they strip him, and then I guess Larry Zbyszko, I think he beats Tom Zenk in the Battle Royal to win the belt.
Oh, the pretty boy Tom Zinks.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. But I mean, overall, what would you give between a 1 and 10 for this whole entire show?
2.
Yeah, I mean, I would give it probably
it's just poorly
a 1.
booked. It's because if you don't watch all those TVs, so if you're not watching World Class, you're not watching Memphis, and you're not watching AWA,
or that women's promotion,
or POW, you're not gonna know what the fuck's going on. And they're not they're not having like packages to recap this shit. So you're kind of sitting there confused. And if you're in Minneapolis, you maybe not being able to see Memphis. You know what I mean? So you're missing out on whatever's going on there. And if you're someplace else, you're not able to see the rest of the matches. So you're like kind of like. Pfft. So that's probably one of the reasons why this show did poorly, is that there's a lot of Memphis talent here. There's 1 or 2 guys you would know from World Class. But there's a lot of Memphis talent here that probably was not known in Chicago, and that's why they only did 1,600 people.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I would give it a 1. I mean,
it's a rough show.
It was a rough show. But speaking of something that's not rough, kind of to recap the show and put a little bow on top of it. If people wanted to watch again your Retro Wrestling Presents Games channel, how can they follow you? How can they find it? Because I mean, it's the thing's blowing up. How many Twitter followers do you have?
We're rapidly approaching 5,000. We're rapidly approaching 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. We have over 275 videos up currently. So it's doing pretty well. I wish I had some more comments on the comment section, but we're working on that. In addition, you can also follow me on Twitter at RW Games Presents on Twitter. I'm a good Twitter follower. So
yeah, I mean you're a great follower. I mean we're trying to get 1,000 followers on Twitter by WrestleCon. Just if you want to follow us, and if you haven't followed us, it's at the RW Rewind on Twitter. That's also our website, therwrewind.com. I mean, folks, It's been a great show, but the next show we're going to cover is, I think, a lot better than this. WrestleMania 3. What are your thoughts on WrestleMania 3 going into next week?
I think that show is the stamp of what kind of put the WWF so far ahead of everyone else that they became out of reach. Like there was always a number 2, and in some cases in the 90s, WCW did catch up, but they were always so far away.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is the reason, when you do that many people in a dome, when you have a match like Hogan and Andre, when you have matches like Steamboat and Savage, it's like, that was the end. That was the end of the first boom. There's a second boom that happened right after that, and then a decline that happened in 1990, which we'll probably talk about at some point.
I mean, we're going to definitely talk about that, because the week after that, after we cover WrestleMania 3, a high note, we're going to cover Battle Bowl 1993.
I'll give you a spoiler. I love the Lethal Lottery, but I hate the Battle Bowl. There you go.
Well, that is. I mean, if that's not what you call a tease, I wouldn't call it a tease. But for the great Alex G, as always, I am David Fine. We will see you back here next week, where we cover WrestleMania 3 right here on the Retro Wrestling Rewind.
Andre the Giant.
Gonna get his licks in on the bruiser.
Number 1, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
His opponent, weighing 236 pounds in the white corner, from Van Nuys, California.
Quand même à aimer choice.